So the other thing that happened around the same time is a parent called me, and she was a mother of 2 autistic children from the Midlands, and she was an older parent, and she had a husband who was older than she was and was infirm, and she herself had arthritis. And she called me one day and she said, "Dr. Wakefield, please don't be judgmental, don't judge me harshly," she said, "but when I die, I'm taking my children with me." And I thought long and hard about that, and I wasn't in any way judgmental. In fact, quite the opposite. I was struck. She said to me, "Dr. Wakefield, nobody else cares about my children. I'm the only person who loves them. And when I die or become infirm to the extent that I can no longer care for them, then they're going to be lost. They're going to be on the street, and they're going to die on the street because the world doesn't care." And she was quite right. She was absolutely right. There is nothing for these children. I mean, you'll know that in the sort of Thatcher era, all the long-stay institutions, the old asylums were closed down and turned into luxury apartments, and there's nothing left. It's care in the community. What does that mean? Care in the community means just shoving people with long-term mental disabilities out into the community where they can injure themselves or injure other people or whatever. Who knows? Who follows them? Who cares? And that was the future for these children. So I decided at that point that I would help the lawyers, because if nothing else, I was in a position to look at this scientifically, objectively, and provide an answer that would or would not take this story forward, but would nonetheless give these children access to the due process of justice. And that is what they had been denied. And so it was about access to justice. And surely that cannot be denied anyone, you would think, in a civilized society. So the lawyers asked me what we should do. How would you go about, in a scientific context, taking this to the next step, determining whether this temporal association that the mother has made between her child's exposure to this vaccine and regression, how would you then further link that, if possible, to the virus? And I said, well, the bowel disease that we've seen in these children and in Crohn's disease looks like an infectious disease. And you would look for evidence of the virus in sites of infection, or obvious, swelling of the lymph glands is one site in the intestine that you would think. It's either like swelling of the tonsils when you get a sore throat. You would look in the tonsil for the organism that was causing it. So if you've got swelling of the lymph glands in the intestine, look in there for evidence of the virus. And measles was a virus that was known to cause this kind of swelling of the intestinal lymph glands. So it made logical sense to look in those areas. And so we set up a study. I was asked to design a study that would take this to that level, that we would get funding from the Legal Aid Board, hypothetically, and then we would look for evidence of the virus in the intestine. And after a series of exchanges and a protocol was prepared, we received acknowledgement of funding from the Legal Aid Board to conduct that study. If it was negative, it was negative. If it was positive, it was positive. Either way, it got published. It was not designed to produce a particular answer. It was just designed to produce an answer. Is the virus there or not? Didn't make it causation, but it was a crucial piece of the jigsaw that took it to the next level.